Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's get into the Sunday action, college basketball. This video will be getting out a little bit later in the day, as always, up late watching some West Coast basketball and having a good time on a Saturday night in terms of just what was going on with the evening. Bets, it was a 50-50 day, so not always a bad thing. There was a couple games that fell in the opposite direction. We did clean up, full disclosure, having a couple cordials with Joey D. Showed him how to bet hockey a little bit, and we ended up cashing a nice little parlay. The one bet that I do want to reflect on, I had a little lottery ticket within yesterday's games with Baylor letting us down in the second half. That was two of the games that did fall short that really shouldn't have, in my opinion, that we are going to kind of move on forward and not reflect too long on it. But the big losses yesterday for me, going 3-4 on the official plays, 3-3 if you want to call it that. But we had the likes of Baylor, App State, falling by the wayside, and then Texas A&M losing at home in back-to-back spots against Tennessee. That was one we're down the stretch. Tennessee played well, so sometimes you just got to tip your cap, and move on. But there was a lot of games where we were right on the money in terms of leans, but there was a lot of teams that also kind of played out of character, I would say. So it's going to be an interesting time of year, right? As everybody segues into conference championships and getting ready for the big dance in March. Within seedings, rankings, a lot of things have been solidified. So this is kind of where we start game planning for our futures tickets and kind of where we're at. I kind of want to do a rundown of betting how I'm going to take futures for the college basketball tournament. A lot of people do make brackets, but the way to make money, in my opinion, within betting March Madness, you should already have these tickets and have some exposure to teams where when we get later on in the tournament, you're just trying to hedge out of those positions and lock in profit. So that's kind of how I feel about it. We are going to get right into the picks right now, guys, and good morning. Thank you for waking up, and let's get it going. We are caffeinated. We are other things as well. We got some nicotine running, so we are ready and good to go. And let's start off with a few bets here, get us going into this morning. Let's look at OUTLIER to do so. This is where we're going to dive into my best four picks for this today's contest. Also, we are going to highlight two games that are more of the marquee spots where I'll give you my opinion on. And the first one will be one of those marquee games as we look into UConn and St. John's. So let's break this game down real quickly. I don't have an official play in that one, full disclosure, so just enjoy it, watching it. Noon tip-off, okay? But first, let's go into kind of the business side of this here on YouTube. If you guys can, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Completely free to do so. All you have to do in return for my picks is just subscribe here on YouTube. Just click the button. It's kind of how you let YouTube know that you like the picks I'm giving out, all right? And that's kind of where we're at, all right? Also, if you have not done so, make sure you guys are giving me a follow on X. This is my X account. If you guys are not on Twitter, we do post things from time to time on there, in-game, live stuff. We're going to try to expand that. Also, full disclosure, there is a website in the works, so stay tuned for more updates on that front. And let's get back into the picks, okay? So this is where we're going to look into the odds for these games that are going to start unfolding. And like I talked about, the St. John's game within the UConn Huskies. Now, UConn coming back in their previous spot against Villanova. That was one where we ended up cashing on a lucky free throw. Gotta love college basketball. And shout out for all of those teenagers and young adults that just spend time at the line making and practicing free throws so that when we need to cash our tickets, they come through for us in a big way. All right. And that's where my hat goes off, is all that hard work and dedication that these fine young gentlemen spend on the free throw line, putting in the work so we can cash tickets. Okay, jokes aside, let's get into it. This is kind of where we're going to look into this game, and I want to share with you guys kind of where I'm at in terms of my head. We see the overwhelming amount of support on the UConn Huskies in terms of the handle, also in terms of the money line, and as well as kind of looking at the spread. This is where it's going to slightly be in favor of the over, total coming in at 138.5, best number out there on DK. For me, guys, though, this is going to be a game where, sure, if you want to lay it with St. John's, that's probably the correct side, in my opinion. I look at the Johnnies, and this is one where Rick Pitino, this is where he looks to go 2-0 against UConn in this 2024-2025 campaign. Okay, for me, guys, the big storyline here is kind of Losing to Villanova like how they did, and then beating Creighton, a good Creighton team, which I do like them pretty well. Also, this is something where they are on an outstanding run here in the Big East. And as we look into it, guys, we have to talk about kind of what we have going on within this UConn bunch. I think there's something to be said about them going on the road, playing in this game. And the thing that people don't realize about this game is, and this is the best thing about the Big East, Madison Square Gardens, St. John's, UConn doesn't really get much better than this back in the old days. But as we look at the 10th ranked St. John Red Storm coming into this game, it's where I would lay the 4.5 with St. John's and Rick Pitino. I think they're the better team, albeit UConn. This is going to be one where I think there was a little foreshadowing, maybe a little look-ahead spot into this matchup that we have today. And it's not the Huskies team that we saw just basically covering double digits every single game last season and being very profitable in terms of the ATS market. For me, guys, though, I would lay it with St. John's. But I will tell you, though, if you do want to kind of get a plus money, a little value out there in the market, $1.70 there on the money line for UConn. And if you're going to go on the UConn side, I like grabbing the plus 170 money line in terms of value right there on ESPN Bet versus taking the points there, albeit this is kind of where I'm at. I like St. John's, but I like, if you do like UConn, I would disregard the 4.5 and take them right there on the money line plus 170. That's just how I would approach it, and also why I'm staying away from this game. If you want to call it a rivalry, great, but this is just a game where I'm going to enjoy watching. No real clear indication one side or another, okay? Next, another big marquee game is the Purdue-Indiana. Hoosiers are hosting the Boilermakers, and we look into kind of Painter and his club, what they're looking to do. They're 19-8 on the season, 11-5, laying 3.5 on the road. Very interesting spot here for the Hoosiers, where seemingly looks like Purdue's got to figure it out. If anything, guys, this is one where I just watched that Purdue game within Michigan State very closely, and I can tell you one thing, Michigan State's for real. Maryland is for real. We also look in the Big Ten. Another team that I favor pretty well is Wisconsin. I know they lost to Oregon in overtime, but those are three teams that really do play an efficient style of basketball. And come postseason, those are teams out of the Big Ten that I do favor quite a bit in terms of the futures market. However, when we look at this Purdue team, and I watched that game very, very closely against Michigan State, had Michigan State in that one as well, and that's going to be something where I look at that game. I don't want to say they're fugazi, but I just don't like the Boilermakers at face value, okay? I just don't see it. This isn't Zach Edey and a bunch of guys that just run and gun, and they have a very efficient style of basketball, and they play really good perimeter and defense down in the paint. I just don't see it this year. They don't have the same guys where if I was just, walking off the bus and I'm just looking at this Boilermakers club and thinking they got it going on. So, but I also can't say that for the Hoosiers. So this is a stay away game for me. But a lot of people out there in the odds world do like Purdue in this spot. I'm going to stay away and just kind of fade the Hoosiers in terms of futures down the road as things really start taking off for the postseason. Okay. Next game that we are going to get into, this is a shorter board. Boy, do we have a lot of games yesterday that we had to dive into. But the best kind of plays that we're going to have officially, we're going to have them bang, bang, bang here on the card. We're going to look at Florida Atlantic going on the road to play Memphis. Now, Memphis, 22nd in the country, 21-5. Strength of schedule is a little down, but this Memphis club, 11-2 in conference, just doesn't have it in terms of comparison to other teams ranked higher than them. However, FAU, we're going to dive into this game as I look into the club going on the road here, and I'm going to show you exactly why. This is where we are going to have, you could actually get a 9 in some places, which I will give out as my official play. We're going to take FAU plus 9 if you can find it, okay? If you can find a better number with the hook, great, jump on it. This is going to be an official play. If we look at kind of them covering this big number, they've covered this number 80% of the time, and if we look at more so on the road, it's still there, guys. 70% on the road in their last 10, FAU has been able to cover, getting the plus 8.5. Even if they were favorites, they still took care of it. But I just think that this is too many points for an FAU club for me. So I'm going to back the Owls here, taking on the Memphis Tigers. Also, I do have a play in this game, a little same game action, where we're going to look into the match up a little deeper, and I do kind of like the fact that we are going to see points in this game. So 159.5, if you can find a better number out there, fine, but I will give out FAU +9 and the over 159.5 in this game for my best bet. If we look at kind of the home splits for Memphis, very good at home and against top 25 opponents, 3-1 on the season. So a little sneaky good team for Memphis. They had some disappointing losses early on in the season, but offensively, they're 55th in the country, averaging 79.4 points per game. Defensively, the Owls 300th in terms of that in comparison to Memphis, 224th in points allowed as well. So I just think that what we're going to see from FAU, they're going to keep this game, in my opinion, closer to the vest, and I think that we do get a back and forth high scoring affair. So I'm going to grab the points and go over the total here, FAU Memphis, as one of my best bets. And if we look kind of in this historical matchup head to head, okay, the Memphis Tigers did get the victory in this game, and the one thing that I want to share with you guys within this score was 90-62, okay? 90-62, they ended up losing to Memphis as a 3-point dog. So a little bit of a revenge spot, 163.5 was that total. So this is something where Memphis was able to put up 90 points. I do expect to see a better output for FAU in this game. So let's see this game and what we have going on. Hopefully we get this one covered, the number, and we go over the total. Also, if we look at kind of the offensive efficiency, this is something where Memphis, in terms of the I don't know what I have this sorted by. I apologize. But if we look in terms of Memphis, in terms of efficiency and adjusted tempo, if we look at the KenPom rankings, I do think it's a high enough number that we can get a 70.7 there for the Tigers, as well as if we look at kind of where they stack up from in, I'm trying to find this, why this showed them in the top 5 and why I kind of was looking at this. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's just kind of where I was clicking on something and it sorted it in a different direction, but it's not going to be a big difference to my handicap. But I still like FAU plus the points and over the total, 159.5, Memphis and FAU. Okay, back into the games. This is where we're going to look into the next one. We do have a play in. Robert Morris. Now, this is a fishy line, and as we look at this, guys, Milwaukee comes in this game 19-9, 12-5 in conference, getting 1.5 on the road against a Robert Morris club that, if you want to kind of talk about it a little deeper, okay, Robert Morris didn't fail to cover again. They failed to cover against the Gottliebs late. They had a very commanding lead and just let that number get kind of sloppy towards the end. But this is something where I do think that we're going to get a lot of scoring in this game. If you look in kind of what Robert Morris was able to do. Robert Morris is a very good cover team in terms of the over at home, and I think this is something once where they are going to score above 80 points, okay? And this is something where I think that Milwaukee has the potential to score 80-plus points as well, and this is kind of where you look into both of these clubs are going to score in the 80s, and I think this one is something where you look at this game, I do think this is a lean towards the over as well. We've seen some buy down, and this number has dropped to 150.5. But if we look at kind of what Robert Morris is able to do, scoring 94 against Wisconsin Green Bay, offensively, that's all there. They've won a convincing amount of games. I think they've won 10 of their last 11 straight, and I think that continues today. So right now, this is just a value play for me. Robert Morris on the money line, minus 122 is my best bet on FanDuel. It's just too cheap for the Colonials. So if we do get an upset from Milwaukee on the road, great, but give me the better team at home with a short number, and I'm going to take that all day. So it is a little fishy, but I'm fine laying it. So give me Robert Morris money line as an official play, okay? Next, we're going to go down the board a little bit and talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes and UCLA Bruins. One thing I've done extremely well betting college basketball this season is taking this Big Ten realignment issue, okay? And what I mean by that is West goes East, East goes West. I don't know how these kids are going to class anyways, but in terms of just the scheduling and the logistics behind it, this is a tough spot for the Buckeyes, okay? And we look at Ohio State and what they've been able to do, losing 3 out of their last 5 ATS, and just getting the brakes blown off of them after losing to Michigan in a heartbreaker, 86-83. They hosted Northwestern, and they came in there and absolutely cleaned their clocks offensively, only scoring 49 points. I think this is a tough spot, and UCLA looking to avenge that game that cost me about $2,000 within one of my lottery tickets that did need UCLA to cover, win by double digits, and they had an 11-point lead at halftime against Minnesota at home, and Minnesota outscoring the Bruins in the second half, winning by 3. This is something where I think they bounce back. They have to, okay? They simply have to. Ohio State 15-12 on the season, 7-9 in conference. They're going to be looking forward to the NIT possibly, and I just don't see it where they're going to be able to go on the road right now and have any kind of morale to play this game. And UCLA needs to have a bounce-back spot. So give me UCLA -6 if you can find it. A juiced-up -6 here for the Bruins is going to be my official play as I take UCLA -6 as a best bet. And that will wrap up my 4-pack of the best bets on the day. There are a few games also that we could talk about. Rutgers, USC, Creighton, and Georgetown. That's another marquee game there. We get in the Big East. Creighton hosting the Hoyas. That's going to be a game where I would lean Creighton in this spot. It's a big number, though, -13. I'm not looking forward to laying that at home, albeit Georgetown is kind of one of those opponents where I would favor the over as well. But those are just leans. No official play for me, okay? So let's wrap it up. Let's get down into the final picks. Guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe before exiting this video. Appreciate you guys spending your Sunday morning with me. Apologies for this video coming out a little bit later, but we are going to go with Robert Moore's money line, Drake money line, which I did not talk about that game, actually, so I apologize. Let's touch upon that real quickly. Okay, Drake is my final bet. Going against Northern Iowa, another value play. If we look at this a little bit more so in depth, we see a convincingly amount of the money backing Northern Iowa here in this spot in terms of the handle, but we are going to look into this and talk about kind of where we're at in terms of the Drake money line here, +100. We get even money here, and what we're going to look into the insights. Okay, Drake is 11-1 in their last 12 games as a favorite. Okay, so I know they're a short favorite. It's essentially a pick 'em. Both of these clubs have been playing very well. Drake has a loss to Bradley in the Panthers of Northern Iowa, winning 6 straight, where they have been kind of closer games, but I do think Drake is the better team, winning 11 out of their last 12. Let's get them on a pick 'em, taking Drake +100 as my final bet, okay? So that is it. That is the rundown. Robert Morris, money line, -122. Drake, pick 'em at even money. FAU +9, over 159.5. And we're going to lay 6 points with UCLA hosting the Buckeyes as my final best bet. Appreciate you guys watching. Good luck out there with your picks, and we'll see you guys all tomorrow in the next video. Peace.